something violent is going to happen. Bam, squeeze, 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 kaplop, boom. Very quickly approaching. It's the same squeeze play. Non-prison reference of a soap bar between your hands getting squeezed out. At least I feel confident knowing what I should be looking at so I can be prepared. So that you're ready either for a plane crash or a home run. Stop what you're doing, leave me a comment down below describing your level of confidence in which direction you think Bitcoin will go next. Because at the end of this video, I want you to go back and edit that comment to see if you've changed your mind. Let's do this experiment. This week I expect price to be pretty choppy, but I'm telling you, a storm is a-brewing. My February 18th video with this thumbnail. The only real question that we have in short-term time frame analysis, how low does Bitcoin go before it finds a bottom and a bounce? And at what point will Bitcoin price come up to retest the weekly 10? And those who follow my channel know that before this dump, I had been screaming and yelling and relentlessly saying, this looks like a Humpty Dumpty move above the weekly 10 EMA, which is this red line here. Now we've gotten this move and we have determined so far how low, per that video clip, how low this move will go. Now the big question is, how will Bitcoin navigate itself up back to this weekly 10 EMA? Is Bitcoin going to revisit its lows, bounce off the bottom blue line? How is it going to get up there? Is it going to fall up short? Let's dive in here and make a splash because it looks like next week or late this week, maybe even over the weekend, something violent is going to happen. You need to really be staring at the charts. Bitcoin is in a pivotal moment. I can't stress that enough. Let's get it.
Hit the like button.
And subscribe.
Or else, let's go! Something I want to point out here is that traditional markets, this is the ticker NQ1 that you can see right here in the background. NASDAQ Composite Futures, essentially. You can see very clearly here that even though Bitcoin has followed traditional markets, specifically being rejected by its weekly 10 EMA, this is the same line that I had on the Bitcoin chart. So they're both getting rejected by the weekly 10 EMA. They're both going up to an origin line. And in Bitcoin's case, the origin line that it is approaching is the master origin line. In this case, for NASDAQ and traditional markets, it's not necessarily the master origin line. However, you have a squeeze play both in traditional markets and in Bitcoin. It's going to be big. And this weekly 10, I am on the 2-hour chart right now, but we can still see the weekly 10. And with that, the weekly 10 is quickly, very quickly approaching this line here. It's getting there faster than I anticipated from that previous video clip that I showed earlier. I was thinking the first week of March or maybe in the second week of March. Now I'm thinking it might happen the end of this week or the very, very beginning of next week, which could be Monday, February 28th, the last day of February, or Tuesday, March 1st. It is quickly approaching. Something is going to happen. It's the same squeeze play. And another thing to note is, interestingly enough, as traditional markets are revisiting their previous lows, okay, that's NASDAQ Composite. Now go to the ticker here, more for the S&P 500 Composite Futures, which are technically mini futures. That's also revisiting its recent local lows, but Bitcoin, oddly enough, is not yet. It is making potentially a higher low, significantly above, relative to traditional markets. It's significantly above its recent local low, and it's oddly outperforming traditional markets right now. Unfortunately, I don't know what Bitcoin's outperforming traditional markets on the daily time frame and lower, so 1 hour to daily time frame, what it really means. But what I do know is this: traditional markets and Bitcoin are getting ready to have a massive, massive squeeze play. It's simply a non-prison reference of a soap bar between your hands getting squeezed out, and price is the soap bar. One hand is an origin line, the other hand is the weekly 10 EMA. They're squeezing price. It's going to pop out. And when a soap bar is between your hands, again, non-prison reference, you don't know which way it's gonna go and go this way or that way or straight down. You don't know. But something violent is brewing. I'm telling you, it's going to happen, and it's going to happen soon. And because of that main idea here, I feel that although I don't know which direction it's going to pop, at least I feel confident in knowing what I should be looking at so I can be prepared. So this video is going to show you not necessarily my prediction of up or down once the squeeze play happens, but the rough timing of when the squeeze will pop, and 2, specifically what you need to be looking at and how to set it up on your chart so you can do this yourself. So let me show you so that you're ready either for a plane crash or a home run. Turn on your camera and microphone and ask me questions directly in live, straight to my face, up to 8 times a week. Links to the Discord community within the description section of all my videos. Make sure that you're following me on Twitter, cosasverdes2 with the number 2 afterward, for frequent Bitcoin and cryptocurrency updates. And if online communities are not your thing, because you do not have the time to commit, but you want exclusive content above and beyond what I offer on YouTube, click the join button right below this video, and another video will pop up showing your options to you. On a VIP live call today for our Wednesday morning check-in that we do every Wednesday and Monday at 10 a.m. New York time, I found an easier way to get folks to draw the master origin line. You go to the 4-hour chart specifically, okay, 4-hour chart, and you're going to draw a line between two wicks. The wick of the recent 4-hour local high. So just go to the 4-hour chart, look at the most recent local high, look at the halfway point to that wick. Zoom way in here, very easy, halfway point. Okay, and that date was February 20th, but I shouldn't need to give you the date because hopefully if you're in crypto, you know what a recent local high is. If not, that's fine. My channel tries to cater to new folks. So 4-hour chart, February 20th, halfway through that wick. This is the candle body. That is the wick, the skinny part. Then go to Halloween, which is the last day of October, October 31st, 2020. You're going to have to scroll a bit back on the 4-hour chart. It's going to take a minute. This candle right here, this is Halloween, October 31st, 2020. Roughly halfway through that wick as well. Technically, it'd be a little bit lower than halfway on my chart, a little bit less than halfway through that wick as well. And if you connect those two wicks, then you can very easily, assuming that you're not on the phone, so I'm going to give you essentially like a trading view tutorial here. You can hit the control button. So hit the control and hold it. Then click once you have that line. So after you have the line established, click and hold control, then drag up and do it again. Hit and hold control, drag down, and you can start messing with the different lines that I have here, and you can kind of gauge that for yourself. But the most important one to get is the master origin line, and then later you can play around with creating the trading zone that has been alive. The same 5 lines, 4 blue lines, 1 gray line, which is the matched origin line. They play around the same with price throughout all of Bitcoin price history, or at least 10 of the 12 years. After Bitcoin got above $100 or so. You need this in your repertoire of what you're looking at in Bitcoin. I'm telling you, it's super important. And then let's go back to current price. You need to click the indicator button and type in MTF EMA. Once you see it, you need to star it first, then click it, okay? And then it'll appear over here on the left-hand side, even though I have multiple of them. You click the gear, you click 1 week, and fill in it with 10 and make it whatever color you want, but you might want to both make it thick and drag the opacity all the way over. Thick, opacity, whatever color, pick your favorite color, and that's what you need to be looking at. Origin line plus the weekly 10. Now from that thumbnail and video from February 18th, let me pull up what my guess was at that time, remembering the idea that I had at the very beginning of the video from that clip. The only question is how low it'll go and when it'll find a local low, and number 2, what the path will look like, potentially getting back up to the weekly 10 EMA, even if that means it comes up short. Let's take a look at how it compares to current price action. From that same video, I have it saved over here. See where I have my guess February? I'm going to hit the eyeball and make it appear. It's the same stuff from that video. And I think I might not have had this quite, I might have dragged this down a little bit lower, but from that video it was at least about there, okay? And in the very beginning of the video, I said the 2 questions are, again, how far will it go down before it makes a local low? And what will the price path look like when it tries to come up and give one more test towards this red line? And as of now, per my guess, price action is more bearish. That's not good. It's not good. And you have traditional markets returning to their recent local lows, looking like, and you have Russia and Ukraine news not looking very good. I mean, it is possible right now, even though this is not my main idea, so this is what I'm about to say is not my guess, but I want to give you the precautions of what's possible in a more bearish sense. Now, if you're short, you're gonna like this, right? If you're short on stuff right now, and honestly, I think the chart is favoring shorts right now for the short-term time frame. But anybody else who's been dollar cost averaging similar to what I've been doing, very mild to moderately is what I've been doing on this, expecting a bounce at least to the weekly 10, is it almost looks like Bitcoin might straight up getting a rejection from the origin line. And it looks like it's brewing the possibility of staying under the origin line and just letting that weekly 10 come. And then once the weekly 10 hits it, it's potentially just gonna freaking flatline, folks. And when I say flatline, I mean straight down to 29K, small bounce over the next 5 days after that, and then straight down lower. It looks like a capitulation event could be imminent, and I've been saying this in my last 2 to 3 videos. It could be. However, that is not my main idea. I'm leaning a little bit more towards a bounce up to the weekly 10 EMA, that red line, before that happens. However, right now the charts on the short-term time frames are suggesting that Bitcoin price, due to current global events, it might end up being weaker, and my guess will have been too bullish, and I will be incorrect on that thought, and that it was actually reject. So let's dive in to look at these nasty 2 rejections from this master origin line, which is 12 years old. It's the most important line in Bitcoin history. Price just got rejected from it twice. I didn't anticipate this. I'm going to zoom into these 2 areas where price went up to the master origin line, which is the gray line. Here's the 5-minute chart. Let's zoom into that. Not bad for a 12-year-old line, huh? Zoom in again, came up shy, but you can consider this a rejection. It's within $110 of that. That is 2 rejections from it. One thing to note though, is that after this rejection, Bitcoin came down and immediately made on the 1-hour time frame, and even the 4-hour most likely, Bitcoin came down and made a lower low, which is lower than the previous local low on short-term time frames after the rejection. This time so far, it has not broken the higher low structure. So technically, as long as Bitcoin doesn't close an hourly candle below 36.6 or so, it won't necessarily have the nasty effects as this rejection had. But if you look at that, we don't yet have a bounce from here. You can't call this a higher low, which would be higher than this local low right there, because it's still falling. It's not looking that good right now. Now back to the more potentially bullish sense, whenever the 4-hour, the 4-hour RSI, whenever the 4-hour has a strong pump and it doesn't, the green line, which is the RSI itself, does not like to distance itself too much from the white line, which is the moving average of this green RSI line. At the exact moment that the green enters the zone from the red horizontal, which is the bearish control zone, up to the neutral line. This is extremely typical and very potential short-term time frame pullback, because this green says to itself, hey, I'm in this zone, I'm in the magic zone. And then it looks back and says, whoa, looks back at its EMA and says, hey friend, oh shit, you're way back there. Okay, let me wait for you. It's very typical. So one thing potentially going for price that is suggesting a strong possibility that this is a short-term time frame pullback is this 4-hour RSI. In addition to what I've been talking about on my channel for probably 2 days now, it also looks like the daily. So this is the daily RSI. The daily is in that pocket of creating its first more major higher low in the RSI as well, specifically a higher low that is below the EMA, which is a signal I've been looking for quite a while. But the possible bullishness can just rip right down both on the RSI and price. So let's go back to that 4-hour EMA and look for similar setups in which the 4-hour green bumps its head in that zone above the red line and the white line. So in that zone, and it bumps its head on it and has been bouncing on the white line and then just tanks down even farther. Let's go take a look. So the very last case of a 4-hour RSI coming down really low and bumping its head around the red line, came back, waited a little bit for the white line, bumped its head on the white line, came back to check the EMA again. So see how it came up to the red line and said, whoa, 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 whoa. I am a little too, so see how aggressive it got up there? It said, whoa, I need to slow down and wait for this EMA. Right at the red line. Got up to the white line, said, hey, look back to its friend, whoa, I'm way too far above you, let's go check you, and then come out. So the very last time this happened, it did get a little bit of continuation to the upside, and that all happened around this area here. And you did get some form of continuation to the upside. So the very last time this happened, the suggestion of slightly more bullish posturing did work out, but it doesn't always work out is what I'm trying to say. The time just before that is it bumped its head on the red line, came back to check the white line, bumped its head on the white line, came back to check the EMA, did a little fake out and rolled the hell over with one little pump in between as well. But the time before that, it did just roll over in the same posturing, and Bitcoin is equivalent to being right here right now. And if this were to happen, this could suggest that Bitcoin will make its way up roughly to that origin line in this event. If the same EMA structure were to play out, if I could copy and paste this over to current price from that point, which is equivalent to current price action, let's scoot over. See how it's just above the red line, checking the EMA, just above the red line, checking the EMA. So it's kind of like this right now. If all of this were to play out, let's stake an arrow right there and then come copy price. If something similar to that would happen, it would indicate Bitcoin is going to try to get above that master origin line, bump its head on the first blue line, and then roll the hell over and make new lows. And guess what? That would also be in line with the weekly 10 going like this, squeezing price out. So let's extend that weekly 10. Bam, squeeze play between the red line and the origin line. Squeeze, 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 plop, boom. And it would tank just as I indicated earlier. And if you do the same thing going farther and farther back in time, what you're going to find is when the 4-hour RSI is in this exact posturing, the hit rate of the suggestion of bullishness is way better when you're in a daily uptrend and a weekly uptrend, which we are not in right now. We are in a daily, actually, I don't know what the daily's in. Let's go check. Low, higher local high. That's an uptrend right there. Higher low, lower high, confirmed lower high, but not a confirmed lower low. So because we have a lower high, but we're still maintaining higher lows, we do not both have a lower high and a lower low. Therefore, the daily is in no trend status. That was actually going to be my guess, that the weekly and daily are in a no trend status. So as you go back in time, when both weekly and daily are in an uptrend status, that signature that we have now in the 4-hour RSI leans heavily towards the bullish side. When both the weekly and daily are in a downtrend, it leans slightly, it'll more often roll over to the downside, and will essentially create a signature on price of a yet another lower high to be followed by specifically a lower low. But right now, we're in a no trend on both the daily and the weekly, which is not that common in Bitcoin price history. So under the context specifically of being in a no trend, there's not a crazy amount of data There's not a crazy amount of data on it. And that indicates that the predictability of price right now leading up to what I anticipate of being a big event. Either way, the SOAP bar next week, Monday, February 28th to Wednesday, March 2nd, somewhere around there, I'm anticipating something big to happen, whether it's up or down. It's indicating that it's going to be hard to predict. So therefore, instead of just freaking guessing, picking a side in bullish or picking a side in bearish, right now is simply the time to know what to look at and be ready to make quick adjustments. And so in this video, with that premise that it's going to be hard to predict no matter what. I hope you find this useful, because after this video, you feel more comfortable and confident that you know what you should be looking at, even though you're not for sure how it's going to play out. And on top of that, perhaps even more important than that, is that if you came to this video being confident one way or another, I hope this video convinces you that maybe you shouldn't be so confident in that specific guess because of the level of unpredictability of what's happening in the charts right now. That's the main idea of this video. Make an edit, leave the comment now, stayed the same, changed, and I would love to see your comments. Click this playlist if you're newer to crypto and you want to learn how to set up a chart like mine or learn very basic buying and selling strategies. Click this playlist right here if you're more intermediate and you want to understand how and why price moves the way it does, and to start getting a feel for how crypto moves. If you're new to my channel, click the circle in the middle to subscribe. You just got Tymified worldwide. Peace.